Just in the last 30 minutes, Lieutenant Governor Donna Lind released a statement about the racial profiling of 2 Native American teenagers.
All right, ma'am, we're still in the process of investigating just to make sure we cover all our bases.
She was minding her own business in the common area of a dining hall.
What's the problem? I live here. What are you guys investigating?
We went on a tour at CSU and got taken aside by campus police.
I was working on an all-night project. I was a journalism student.
Smith College employee called the police on me.
Remove yourself from our premises in the next 5 minutes, please. Because the authorities have been called.
Too many times we see the same story in the news. A black or brown person is walking down the street, driving their car, sitting in a cafe, living their life when someone calls the cops. And college campuses are no exception.
Somebody called the cops on us because we were quiet. And I was shocked. I was like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense.
Many colleges and universities identify themselves as inclusive spaces that want to attract a diverse student body. But we've seen one story after another of people being reported to the campus police as suspicious because of the color of their skin.
I have every right to call the police. You cannot sleep in that room.
Recently, the police were called on me when I fell asleep in the common room of my graduate dorm at Yale University. I felt harassed, I felt insulted, I felt demeaned, but I was reminded that this is what it means to be Black in America.
Calling the cops because someone looks suspicious based on the color of their skin is a nationwide problem, and it must stop.
For me to have to call my mother to tell her what happened, and for her response to be, I'm just glad you're alive. I could have been burying my child today.
The act of calling the police on a person of color, on a Black person who has not committed a crime in your presence is an act of violence, because you're basically setting that person up.
With law enforcement, the last person I'd want to be is a woman of color. And we all know why. I cannot explain the trauma that comes along with this interaction, the emotional damage, the anxiety.
I think at the time, I blamed myself.
Like just talking about it chokes me up, to like have to sit there and not know whether you're gonna live or die in any second because somebody else feels threatened by you, by the way that you look.
The ACLU is working on a national initiative to ensure that people of color can live their lives without fearing they'll be targeted by unjustified calls to the cops. And we're starting with college campuses.
I shouldn't have to live in fear for the way that I look. I shouldn't. That's not fair. And I don't want other students at prestigious white institutions to feel the same way.
The first step to change is educating people that what they deem suspicious can often be influenced by racial bias, and that this bias can lead to serious harm.
Kind of just a systemic hostility to people of color in quote-unquote spaces that they should not be in.
If you're calling the cops on someone of color, ask yourself, would I be calling the police if this person were white? There will still be some people who make racist calls to the police. Police and emergency dispatchers must receive proper guidance and training to stop themselves from weaponizing the biases of those who call them. We've drafted a model policy for campus police departments to properly screen and respond to bias-based calls for service. This is a starting point, not an end point. Change on college and university campuses will help pave the way for adoption of similar policies in city and county law enforcement agencies, and will educate communities beyond college campuses.
We shouldn't have to explain why we're here, why we're going about our daily life.
We are constantly under surveillance, and we are constantly having to prove that we are, allowed to be where we are.
I'd say if there was anything that we could do in order to change that for the better, anything in the way of racial sensitivity training, anything in the way of scenario training, that's probably what I would have liked in that situation, is just a little bit of compassion.